What a glorious night for racing in the ChampCar iRacing series. You're watching live coverage of round 4 from Road Atlanta in the BMW M2 competition car. Well, what a great racetrack this one is. High speed down the back straight, the challenging S's, plenty of elevation change, and a long history of sports car racing and racing in the ChampCar Endurance Series. ChampCar iRacing Series is the official sim racing championship of the ChampCar Endurance Series. We've got great racing. We're open to ChampCar members. We're open to iRacing members. And we're giving out great prizes to go along with the great racing this year. Bringing you this live coverage, David Haynes, Devin Peters, Michael Derby from HJBC. We look at the circuit and the race ahead of us. 1 hour with a required pit stop for these beautiful and high-speed BMWs, a new addition to the ChampCar iRacing series this year. Devin Peters, they're qualifying just now. A beautiful field of a whole heap of drivers from a whole heap of backgrounds racing with us tonight.
Yeah, it is a very busy track out there, and we're seeing drivers in this open qualifying session working together a little bit, doing a little bit of drafting. That's always a feature when you're out at Road Atlanta. And so we got folks at the front putting in some fast times, folks in the middle putting in some fast times. It's a competitive grid, and you know, Road Atlanta is a track that is just a blast to drive around. I'm really excited to see the race that these guys are going to put on for us today.
A incredibly hotly contested championship this year, with wins going to a number of different drivers. Jared Collins, Ryan Puchtel. Let's see what this will bring, because we've been to a number of interesting racetracks already. Daytona, for example. We've got some many more interesting tracks to come, and also, as is typical and historical for the ChampCar iRacing series, we rotate through a number of different cars. So we've had the Mazda MX-5, we've had the Toyota GR86, we're back in the BMW M2.
Yeah, and it's a new addition to the series. I think that the grids are showing us the drivers are liking it, but there's a few drivers that just can't quite get a handle on the ABS on this thing, and it is one of those cars that's got all that newfangled technology in it. So, you know, it's going to stability control you, and it's going to ABS you, and it's going to, you know, do everything in its electronic power to keep you from crashing it into a wall. But it's also a car that I think still allows drivers with a lot of talent to shine through, and so it makes sense that one of our race winners, Michael Polisek, is sitting at the front with the only 29 on the grid right now. He's run the only 28 on the grid. He's run a 28.9. Second place, Paul Darling, also a race winner, 29.2. Then we got Ryan Puchtel and Jared Collins not far off of that.
Yeah,
seeing drivers testing the limits.
So champcar.hjbc.live has got live timing all throughout this season. So if you're following a particular friend or teammate, or trying to really dive deep into any of the pit stop strategy, that's a great place to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and pit strategy does matter in our series. Of course, we've got one stoppers for the most part, though sometimes it's two stopper. But the question always is, how much fuel? Can you take tires? Do you take tires? And we see different variations on that playing out every week. At Oulton Park last week, I think the fuel savings in the first stint was really critical to making that all work. And our drivers are going to have to make sure that they do their pit stops during the race. We've had to make a special rule to factor that in this season, because we had some creative interpretations making that you know, it's always good when someone adds a new rule to a rule book in a race series. Hey, Haynes?
Great fun for the observers, I'm sure. Also, the adjusted setup for this round starts with a gallon of more fuel, which sort of changes how you would approach the strategy, how much traffic you'd expect to encounter with an early stop, and also how much fuel you take at the pit stop, slightly adjusted. Kyle Robertson inside of the top 5. This lap's not trending as an improvement for him. I think one of the things people come across with this car is they look at it and they expect it to drive like a little GT4, but it doesn't. It drives like a production car with 400 horsepower.
A little more GT5, GT6, maybe GT7 when you think about the brakes.
Doesn't really drive a whole lot like a GT at all.
Yeah, with hitting 150 mile an hour down the back straight, the thing gets going real good in a straight line. But boy, oh boy, does she protest when you start to try and change directions and slow her down.
So the checkered flag is waving on qualifying. About half the field are already sitting back in the pit lane regardless. So a whole heap of drivers out there looking to improve drastically. I'm sure someone will, just to shop it around a little bit.
Yeah, it's looks like most of the top 5 is hitting the lane. We got Jared Collins coming into the final chicane there, 10A and 10B. And we'll see. I don't think this one's gonna be an improvement. And it isn't quite.
No, it did get close, didn't he?
Yeah, just a few hundredths off.
It's just about everyone here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, I think he was the last one to take the checkered flag, so the drivers are all, adjusting themselves in their seats and getting comfortable for what'll be an hour-long race here today, Haynes.
Yeah, pretty quick lap around here, so we'll get a lot of laps into an hour, and of course this is a pretty quick car, pretty much far and away the highest performance car that we will see from the ChampCar iRacing series this year, with the other two being non-turbocharged, the Mazda MX-5 Miata Cup car and the Toyota GR86. Still great machines that generate perhaps even closer racing than this BMW, but the outright performance of this BMW will make it interesting across the season. And if you're watching us now, it's actually a fantastic time to join the ChampCar iRacing series from next round onwards, as we'll begin drawing prizes for drivers who attend. We'll look at the grid now that it's all locked in and there's an hour of racing ahead of us. So on the front row of the grid would be Michael Polasek and Paul Darling. Ryan Puchtel and Jared Collins, first and second in the championship, are third and fourth on the grid. Kyle Robertson and Ryan Carwile are the next row on the grid there, with James O'Brien and Aaron Brown. They're seventh and eighth on the grid. Aaron Smith and Ian Giebler are ninth and 10th. Sean Fritz and Bill Woods, 11th and 12th. Bowie Suin and Nicholas Wallenberg, 13th and 14th. Mark Kruger, 15th, with Sean Robertson, 16th. Zach Balthazar, 17th. Alex Harrison, 18th. Orlando Herrell, 19th. And Logan Senhauser is 20th. Josh Toothman and Scott Grinnell on the next row for the two wide rolling start. Carl Guillory and Alex Albert. Matt McGee and Andre Jameson, Brian Tidd and Andy Kosick, Steve Hermé and Cameron Senhauser, 30th place. And there are four more drivers who set qualifying times: Kevin Collins, Cindy Pickett, Jeffrey Rockwell and John Nicholford. Tony Alfano and Stephen Schaefer did not. That's 37 BMWs lining up on the grid here behind the beautiful Ford Mustang FR500S pace car that will lead them for one formation lap, and then the 1 hour will begin. Another look at the weather, where there's a bit of cloud coming across, but it is probably unseasonably warm for February. 77 in the air, 84 on the track, not too much wind either. And no sign of any rain out there. And they're ready to roll on that formation lap. A few drivers in search of a bit of tyre temperature very clearly, including Kyle Robertson. Most ambitious of everyone on this formation lap, looking for a bit of tyre temperature. So with 3 rounds completed, beginning round 4, this is the points. Michael Polasek on top, ahead of Ryan Puchtel and Jared Collins. It's super tight for first, second and third in the championship right now. Paul Darling's 4th there, but he's 2nd on the grid. Ryan Carwell, Aaron Brown also featuring prominently in the front part of this field. Jordan Probst, Logan Senhauser, Bowie Suin and Bill Woods. It's the top 10 in the championship with 3 rounds counted. Towards the tail end of the championship, when we begin factoring in some of the drop rounds, your best 9 races count, get a tiny bit more difficult to sort of analyze the points. But if you're winning races and you're up the top, then normally goes in your favor.
Yeah, you got to think that those 3 guys with race wins are going to be feeling pretty good after the first 3 races.
Feels a little obvious to say, but winning pays the most points. So if you want to outscore your rivals, that's the place you should try to finish. Welcome to ChampCar Racing 101. There's the fields. Again, these cars, based on the road-going BMW M2, they've got a turbocharged inline-6 up front. They've got a couple of racing modifications vis-a-vis the gearbox and the cockpit, but less than you'd think, and that's why they have a lot of straight line speed but not a lot of cornering speed when compared to TCR cars, GT4 cars, other things like that.
As we come to the green here, we got one car starting from the pit lane, Nicholas Wollenberg. He's one of the Sennhauser racing guys. We'll see if that becomes a factor. That lane is about to get filled by that pace car though, Haynes.
There goes the Ford Mustang FR500S. Here comes the green flag. Michael Polasek for 60 minutes at the ChampCar iRacing Series at Road Atlanta, and he leads them towards turn 1. Super challenging corner in all conditions, challenging on the first lap on cold tyres in this car in particular that sometimes doesn't want to turn so easily. That's good for most of the field. Now also super tight here at turn 3 as you fly over the crest of the hill. It looks so easy from this angle, but the drivers can't see the apex till they're already over the top of it, and you get to go single file through these S's, heading up towards turn 5 where the curbs are a really big challenge in this car. You can't just eat them up easily. You've got to treat them with a little bit of respect. Look at the car bump and wallow for Kyle Robertson there, who's dropped a couple of spots off this race start. So from 5th on the grid, he's down into 7th. Polasek converting that pole position perfectly. Jared Collins, Ryan Carwell, Aaron Brown jumping a couple of spots, but it's this back straight down towards 10A and 10B where the cars really stretch their legs.
Big loser on the start. Scott Grinnell had a little bit of a spin in turn 1, getting caught out by those tires, those cold tires that we were talking about. Luckily for him, he managed to roll off the racing line and everybody stayed out of contact. So good, clean start, and drivers have lined up single file, and our top 2 are trying to make a breakaway.
Polasek's pace in qualifying, converting ably into the race pace here. Paul Darling giving him a run for his money so far as we're about to complete one of what's currently predicted for 42 laps. And Smith pitting from inside of the top 10. I think this might be strategic for him.
It's an interesting car. It's our call. It's a car with a big fuel tank, so there is a possibility that you could make this work. And we have seen some alternative strategies like this work. The only thing I have to say though is, Road Atlanta is a track that's hard to pass at. So I'd be a little scared to try and put myself in a position where I have to worry about dodging people through the S's.
Big fuel tank, as you say. I'm running the numbers on it. I think it's 31.5 gallons. So it's a big old boy. Paul Darling, much closer to Michael Polasek in the race lead here. Traction off of that turn 7 there. So critical in this car. Darling is right with Polasek. The two of them getting away from the rest of the field just a tiny bit. Jared Collins, Ryan Puchtel, Ryan Carwile completing that top 5, not letting up. But for Paul Darling, he's got to the bumper of Michael Polasek, and he's just sitting there for the moment. You see, he's the first one to put the brakes on into turn 10, and the whole front of the field compresses significantly with that.
Yeah, that top 4 is sticking together, and they're just holding on. Ryan Carwile in 5th is pushing for all he's worth, trying to catch a sniff of that draft. He might need a little more help in order to make that work.
Spare a thought for the poor soul who lays down the turf on the outside of the final corner. All of them dipping their left rear tyre into it quite consistently. So Collins and Puchtel a little bit closer to the lead. Through the rest of the pack to complete the top 10. Sean Fritz and Bill Woods have gained a couple of positions. Bill Woods is one of the drivers factoring into the championship situation. Is that Fritz that's supporting perhaps the Dairy Association of Indiana?
Oh, he's got a beautiful BM.
Creative, that's what it is. Behind them, Sean Roberts qualified 16th and is up into 11th. Alex Harrison qualified 18th and is up into 12th. So this next little pack of cars being led by some big chargers, some big movers. Or perhaps that's Sean Fritz. Elsewhere, any other big surprises? Andy Kosick, big fan of this car, up 6 positions from a qualifying a 28th to 22nd. He's watching Josh Toothman and Andre Jameson go side by side. Jameson's got his nose in front, and I think gets a little hot into turn 10A there, which of course always compromises you into 10B, and Toothman will have back at him.
Toothman baring his teeth as it goes up the inside there.
Fighting tooth and man, if you will, but round the outside, more momentum through that final corner, which in some cars is pretty flat out. In these ones, looks far more challenging with all the horsepower and speed that they've got. Rotating the car on throttle, apparently difficult. You need a little bit of brake to help do it sometimes. So Toothman drops in behind. If you know what this livery is from Toothman, you know what this livery is from Toothman. If you don't, it's not worth explaining it. But it's beautiful, beautiful to me, as then up in front of him, Jameson runs a bit wide out of turn 5 again. Got to be so careful with the runoff and that super massive curb there. It's been the demise of GT3 cars, LMP2 cars, prototypes, let alone champ car drivers eating too much of that turn 5 curb.
Going back a few spots from there in 27th, we've got perhaps the most polite battle pack on the grid. That there is John Nicholford letting Stephen Remetz up the inside and letting Brian Tidd get right on the rear bumper. And that's 3 Canadians battling for position here at Road Atlanta, David Haynes.
Yes, it is, and their compatriot Cindy Pickett a bit further up the road has jumped a lot of them. Now Brian Tidd, oh, I think that's Nicholford really covering him off. This is not looking so polite. This is shoulders up, sticks up stuff, as John Nicholford, Steve Herman, Brian Tidd lead their way out of 10B underneath the bridge. Josh Toothman is pitting, interestingly. So is Andy Kosick. So there have been a couple of early pit calls. This is not penalties or drive-throughs or anything. And you can look right up towards higher positions in the field where Bowie Sewin, I think, has just had a little bit of a dig at Alex Harrison and come off second best. Mark Kruger through the S's is going to try to slot in line and make it super single file through there. Got to try to get yourself positioned well for that left turn into 5 so that you don't run out wide like Alex Albert or Lando Herald. One of them have done just at the tailing end of this pack. Oh yeah, it was Albert as he gets down the inside, pushes out super wide, trying to stick that move on Orlando Herald. That's less than polite.
Hey, if you've been a long-time watcher of the series, you know that Alex Albert's a past champion. I think past 2-time champion. So he's a little out of place on the grid here today. I think new to this car, but he's got the racing chops to make a move like that work.
One fan on the back straight there is super hyped. This is the race lead. Things are changing up here. Jared Collins is ahead of Paul Darling now, but it's level going into turn 1 where Darling gets the spot back. This could let Michael Polasek a little off the hook. But Collins right with Darling, Pucktel right with them. Ryan Carwile and Aaron Brown have gotten a little bit closer to the lead of the race as well.
They've gotten closer while Michael Polasek's gotten farther. He's flying out there. He's got that experience in those real world Porsche Boxsters, and I wonder if that's serving him well in this slightly heavier luxury car. Making a clean exit onto the back straight though.
I wanted to say something quippy about New Jersey, but then I realized I just don't know much about it. So what happens between second, third, fourth? Can they close in Polasek? Collins and Pucktel. Pucktel looks to the inside of turn 10 on Jared Collins. Certainly gets down there. The real challenge then is to swap the car back to race up the hill on exit, but I think that does it for Pucktel.
Yeah, it was clean enough. He managed to hold that was Collins out wide, and I think keep him off line well enough. Quick one there. That was 29.3 from Paul Darling.
Yeah, a bit of pace to be found. Car again takes a little bit to warm up the tires, starts with a fair bit of fuel in it, so Darling's thinking, I cannot let Polasek get away here. Polasek also putting in a personal best on that previous lap that was quicker than Paul Darling but wasn't clean, so it doesn't count as the fastest lap of the race. So they're pushing hard now, first and second.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a fuel mileage race if the pace keeps up like this. While those two are fighting, Kyle Robertson and Aaron Brown in 6th and 7th are not quite ready to be done fighting themselves. They've been real close to each other through the last few corners. We'll see if Aaron Brown gets the kind of run we're used to seeing going into 10 here. He peeks out left. He's going to get late on the brakes, and he's got just enough alongside to make an attempt at it. Oh, but it's going to be Robertson that holds the inside line up over the hill and takes it to the stripe.
Another equally quick lap from Michael Polasek that had an off track on it somewhere. So could it be turn 3? Could it be exit of the final corner? I'm starting to think it might be turn 3 because you can really gain a bit through there across that curb.
Yeah, of course, we do run some penalties for too many instant points. 25x is going to get you, I believe, a drive-through, and then a 10x more, and that'll get you more. So if we're doing 45 laps today, you can't cut it every lap, but you can get real close to it.
There is a ferocious mid-pack battle here being led by Bowie Suin. Saw him and Mark Kruger and Alex Harrison battling at the front of it. Kruger's gotten past Harrison. And then Logan Sennhauser runs a little bit wide. Alex Albert made the move on Orlando Herald that we saw a couple laps ago. And then that's wide again from Sennhauser. With so little grip and so much horsepower, I think this is a car incredibly dependent on just, you could be wide of the apex so long as you rotate the car for the exit and open up the power in a straight line. That'll save you. Fastest laps dropping consecutively as Polasek takes it. Michael Darling takes it just 1.3 seconds later, and that's Harrison a bit wide out of 10B. Zach Balthazar passing him quite easily in the end.
Yeah, just a couple spots behind that battle with Suin, and those two are going at it. Harrison with one of those nice liveries too.
Suin on an odd line just up the front there, makes the corner. So I think from turn 2 it ended a little bit out of place. That probably made turn 3 difficult for him.
Yeah, easy to
coming on song.
Easy. We've seen some drivers going over telemetry and stuff in the Discord. It's good. It's good to be able to connect with your racers, your fellow racers in the ChampCar iRacing Sprint Series. But we've heard that if you get just a little too much brake pressure, you get into that ABS, and then the car really doesn't want to slow down and turn for you. And that might have been what happened to Bowie there.
Sort of before that, maybe he'd ended up out of sorts through turn 1 because it was he just didn't get to the line that he wanted to go into turn 3.
From one drive trainer car to another, we got Kyle Robertson holding off Aaron Brown some more. Aaron Brown's putting some pressure into turn 1. We'll see if he gets a little run here. Hard to make a move work into turn 3. But Aaron Brown has not let Kyle Robertson alone and gets a little bit cleaner line through 3. And as they went into the chicane last time by, they were neck and neck again. I'm wondering if maybe and they get a little wide on the exit. Wondering if Brown tries something different this time. We'll see. The door is slammed in his face by Kyle Robertson. That was nice.
Totally different lines through 7. On board with Aaron Brown. You also get a racing steering wheel in this car, so that's nice, I suppose. Couple of simple switches on it.
Yeah, Robertson actually got a better run on the exit of 9 or 8, I guess, and holds the inside this time. So Brown's going to have to try the outside, which becomes the inside, and might work to his advantage. Oh, he spins him up on the exit, though. Robertson carries the momentum. Nicely done. And there's just enough overlap that he can't slam the door. They're going to be too wide into 1 here, Haynes.
Tried to get far enough across to close it off, but couldn't. Brown goes down the inside of turn 6, has a little bit of a slide on the exit. James O'Brien gets close in behind them. So, of course, you begin to battle like that, you begin to lose a little bit of time. O'Brien joins the battle as Aaron Brown gets ahead of Kyle Robertson.
You really get that British feel at this track where it's like, just flowing corners and got to really have some good momentum to make an overtake work. Especially a clean one like that. Now James O'Brien, who's coming into the picture here, he's perhaps more known for racing that Treasure Coast Miata. But certainly any kind of experience with a momentum-based car is going to serve you well in a car like this.
Robertson chooses very deliberately to just stay behind Aaron Brown this lap. I recognise that car, but at the same time I don't recognise that car. Off the road must be Cameron Sennhauser a lap down.
Oh! And he's having a moment in the final corner. He stays on the inside line. The other drivers come streaking by. But that's perhaps why we're starting to see a few cars hitting the pit lane again. So Brian in the lane. But the leaders are starting to get into that lap traffic.
So this is the race leader, Michael Polisek. 1.5 seconds on Paul Darling. The two of them have been trading lap times. Do get the sense that Darling is trying to reel it back in under a second, but of course it benefits Michael Polisek to not let that happen. Indeed, a short lap around here with a handful of cars having already pitted. There's a couple of ways that they can catch a bit of traffic.
Yeah, Polisek's going to have to clear a few of them. Toothman and Cossack just up the road. And depending on how this timing works out, he might actually end up having to deal with them in that turn 1, 2, 3 complex, or even in the S's. And we've all watched enough IMSA races to know that if you're a fast car, you don't want to get stuck behind the slower classes or the back markers going through the S's.
Oh, he's found the headlight flashing button to look to the inside of turn 1 on Andy Cossack.
Brave moves, but Cossack's a clean racer. He gets out of the way.
Yeah, so this is the guys who've stopped, isn't it? Cossack and Toothman.
Yep.
And 55-second lane transit, and then boom, it almost puts you the whole lap down here at Road Atlanta, which is both high speed and only 2.5 miles of road course. So very easy to just go that whole lap down. Past Toothman goes Michael Polisek.
Yeah, luckily for them, local cautions only on the simulator. So these guys don't have to worry about getting stuck a lap down, and the leaders will have to pit eventually. I think things ended up being pretty equal. Paul Darling in second was stuck behind Cossack, while Polisek was stuck behind Toothman. Maybe Darling's getting a little advantage from the draft here.
It's just timing, isn't it? To the inside of turn 1 would have cost a bit of time for Michael Polisek. Paul Darling seems to have worked it out just a little better, but perhaps it's shoe on the other foot. No, okay. That's very generous from Josh Toothman.
He goes by the dentist, I'll have you know.
Well, he should be driving an LMP3 then.
I thought that was the Porsche Cup. Hey, who knows? But he's buddy of Logan
Senhauser. And investment bankers these days, really.
I'll give you that. I was going to say he's a good buddy of Logan Senhauser, so long-time racers in the series know their way around. Speaking of, this is Alex Harrison. Oh, taking an alternate line there, and Logan Senhauser's going to blow by him.
BMW do make motorcycles, but we're not doing the motorcycle configuration. He's gone wide through turn 3 here. So on the curb, turning in. Out of shape there, got it wrong.
I think it's just on the dirty part of the track. You're braking, and the ABS kicks in, and you can't get it out of the ABS fast enough to make the corner.
Aaron Brown and Kyle Robertson, 6th and 7th. Towards the big braking zone, bottom of the hill at turn 10. Kyle Robertson's on the inside, but that's what's made this such an exciting sequence of corners is Aaron Brown's going to try to go over under, and he's going to find that he's asked a little bit too much and had a bit of a slide, and Kyle Robertson 6th. Pace continuing to improve for those leaders as Polisek has a new fastest lap of the race. Bill Woods pits from 8th back there. Ian Giebler pits. I think we're going to get a whole bunch more pit stops now. Sean Fritz, he's into the pit lane, but hopefully not the paddock.
Got Bowie Suin, Mark Kruger. We're seeing big chunks of the top 20 into the lane this lap. And we'll get to see if Aaron Smith...
It takes
Say
a lot
again?
of service to get, like all good BMWs, takes a lot of service to keep them going.
There you go. Yeah, it's a long stop today and a long transit, like you were saying earlier. But I'm curious to see. I think it was Aaron Smith and James O'Brien were a couple of our early stoppers, and they're coming around the final corner right now, and we'll see how that looks. Smith and O'Brien were 7th and 9th on the grid, and they're going to come out right alongside Bill Woods, who pit from 8th. So pretty equal. And they'll have the tire temp advantage for at least the first few corners.
51 pit stalls, 36 drivers. Everyone gets their own. Michael Polasek pits from the lead of the race while Paul Darling stays out. Goes to the lead of the race for a moment. So critical lap here from Darling and Puxel to try to overcut Michael Polasek and Jared Collins. Polasek, as pole sitter, will be looking for pit stall numero uno, number 1, at the pit exit end of the lane.
Puchtel is playing with some traffic from 3rd. Darling is going to have some as well on his lap. Oh, and he has a big slide off camera, but a big slide for Paul Darling on the exit of the S's, and that's going to cost him some time. We'll see. He gets out onto this, as he's coming out of the S's, he gets onto the big curb on the exit, and ooh, I think he had to do a big thing opposite lock to catch that.
So Polasek is out. Quick stop from him. 51 seconds pit in to pit out. Jared Collins, 50 seconds. These are some of the quicker stops that we've seen, particularly compared to a few of those drivers that stopped early. Interesting. So surely with that number of cars pitting this lap, everyone else has to pit this lap or the next. And indeed, Paul Darling's coming in. Ryan Puxel, I keep an eye out for him. He's also going to be pitting in. So the blend on the exit here for Paul Darling versus Michael Polasek will be for the lead of the race.
And as the other cars are filtering through and getting back together, the battles are firing right back up again. I was flipping through the feeds and I just saw James O'Brien slam the door on Bill Woods as they're battling over what on track is around 15th place, but top 10 and once those pit stops filter through.
Here's Polasek, bit of clear track for him through the final chicane, 10A, 10B. Paul Darling's stop is still in progress while Michael Polasek sweeps through the final corner and onto the front straight here at Road Atlanta. It's a pretty quick pit exit here, though, because it cuts a little bit of the inside. You blend towards turn 3, but that's Michael Polasek in the lead. Paul Darling pretty close. I think this has gone well for Darling, who had a 1 second quicker stop and is about a second closer, or maybe half a second closer to Michael Polasek, and definitely in position in the back half of this race to keep the pressure on for the race win.
Yeah, he's going to have to push. We saw Puchtel in 3rd in the back of shot just for a second, but yeah, Darling and Polasek are gonna push each other to the limit, I think, in this final stint.
Darling taking a second to find his feet here, but if he can get the slipstream on Michael Polasek, it's pretty powerful. Keep an eye on sort of the end of straight speeds here, because it doesn't seem to have much of an effect until they get to 110, 120 miles an hour. And then just at the very end of the straight, the trailing car seems to gain 2 or 3 tenths. So it's not like the Toyota GR86 where every single little straight you gain 1 tenth because you're full throttle from the apex of every corner. It takes a bit longer in this car. It's at the horsepower, but there is still a drafting effect, even with car with a bit more horsepower, a little bit less drag. 0.7 of a second crossing the start finish line. I think this is giving Darling a real hot shot at it.
Yeah, it's the closest they've been since the drop of the flag, I think. Certainly closer this time coming over the hill than last time, and critically just up the road there's a couple of lapped cars. Kevin Collins and John Nicholford. Seeing them on screen now, Nicholford and Kevin, last 2 cars on the lead lap. And we'll see, maybe they get overtaken on the straights, but if the leaders catch them in that 10A chicane, they'll have to take some evasive action.
Yes, Darling still... Now he begins to close a couple of tenths just from that halfway point of the straight. Polasek very much eyes up right now, and I'm getting the feeling like he's going to catch these guys about the S's. And that's where the pace difference is between the quicker drivers and the drivers who are 1 second, 2 second, 3 seconds slower, is it's not in a straight line. Anyone can push 100% throttle. It's working through some of the corners, the downhill curved braking zones. Yeah, like turn 1.
Well, there's one getting out of the way. That's Nicholford trying to make some room. And Collins too.
Darling's the one to look out for here because he's not going to get by before turn 5.
The timing's just so tough.
Well, though. He gives up just a little bit of time on the entry. Doesn't have to climb the apex curve and sets up his exit pretty well. So he did what you've got to do in that situation, but it still cost him just a couple of tenths, 1.4 seconds behind the race leader.
Yeah, that was really technical driving, like really well thought out, seeing things in advance. We're seeing a battle in advance right here. This is Ryan Carwile with Kyle Robertson all over the rear bumper in that Drivetrainer Motorsports car. And that's Aaron Brown just ahead of them. And meanwhile, Aaron Smith, who was kind of in that battle with them, has dropped back, had a little bit of an issue. He and Aaron Brown were racing pretty hard before, I believe.
So just
we've lost James O'Brien.
Mark of the race. And we've had a pit stop from everyone. Some of the longer stops belonging to Jeffrey Rockwell, Mark Kruger, I think. Yeah, he's battling right now. Bill Woods is going to try to get past him.
Bill Woods has been putting on a show tonight. When he gets into a battle, he knows how to have some fun with it. That's the joy of ChampCar. I mean, on any given weekend, you got guys racing real hard over first place, and you got guys racing real hard over 23rd place, and it's a good time. Good time to be out there. Smell some rubber, smell some gas, and drive hard for as long time. It's yeah. I'm looking forward. I'm starting to think about my next trip to the track.
I'm thinking about going go-karting on my birthday. So that's... Yeah, maybe that's me. So Club Ohio, Zach Balthazar, Club Ohio, Bill Woods are side-by-side heading towards turn 6. And Bill Woods gets ahead. Down in 17th is perhaps not what we'd expect from Bill Woods, who we highlighted inside of the top 10 of the championship points at this stage. And was pretty competitive in this BMW at Daytona earlier in the season as well.
Yeah, it was 3 laps ago. We were off camera, but coming out of the final turn onto the front straightaway, he just got 2 tires in the grass and then had a bit of a spin that awkwardly put him off the racing line on the front straight. Just wasn't able to get the thing turned around very quickly, and it cost him a lot of positions. So he's racing his way back up through the field now.
Kruger's also looking like he might gain a couple of more positions with the sort of 10-second longer stop than everyone else. Probably puts him a little bit behind where his pace was, and he's His fastest lap and Zach Belflesor's fastest lap of the race are pretty equal, though, all things considered. As Cameron Sennhauser, having made his pit stop a couple of laps down here, is doing the good work, aware of who's around him. This is the race lead. It's down underneath 1 second. There's still plenty of traffic going on for Michael Polasek, with 36 BMWs out on the track and 34 of them still running. And a sub 90 second lap time around here.
That is flying. Is that Darling paint job a reference to anything, Haynes, that you can think of? I really like it.
Not that's immediately clicking with me. This holds up Michael Polasek greatly. Paul Darling's going to be so close coming off of turn 5. Polasek through the S's. It's the toughest part of the traffic. Toughest place to catch some traffic. And he gets a real little elbows out here. But what it does is it opens up the traffic for Paul Darling, who steps right through and will be 1 car length behind. Coming out of turn 6 and onto the back straight. Really, nothing else Michael Polasek could do there. And he sees a little bit of his lead evaporate.
26 seconds on the, or 26 minutes on the clock, and suddenly we got a race again.
Boy, howdy, do we have a race. Paul Darling's looking to the inside for the race leader, at least just showing his big BMW nose and its large sniffing grill that goes along with it. And if he can set up Polasek to start defending a little bit, then it can really work to his favor. Nothing to separate them now. Crossing the start-finish line. Pretty clear track out front for Polasek and for the both of them. But once you've got a guy within 1 second, then they're getting the slipstream. They're gaining a couple of tenths of a second for free. And there's only a couple of tenths of a second to separate the pace between these drivers. So it really puts Paul Darling right in the window to stay latched to the race lead.
Well, and there is also the little matter of their pit stops. Darling might be just a tad underfueled here. He had a second shorter stop than Polasek did. So maybe he wants to hang out in the draft for a little bit here. We'll have to see.
Thinking about that 90-second lap and looking at the rest of our calendar and thinking which is going to be the longest lap time of the season. And it's probably going to be a toss-up between Watkins Glen Boot in the MX-5 and VIR full course in the GR86. I think Road America in this BMW is going to be pretty high speed. Like it's high speed down the back straight here at Road Atlanta for the race lead. And Darling is going for it. Polasek is not giving it easily. But I think Darling's placed himself well, timed it well, and he takes the race lead. A lot of laps still to go in this one. Polasek needs to think big championship picture. There's a little bit of our calendar in the rotating cars as well.
Yeah, it's a wonderful calendar this season, and with the race season happening over just a few fewer months, I think we're seeing a lot of drivers really excited to make every single race. Paul Darling and Michael Polasek giving us the battle we deserve, though, for the championship right now.
There'll still be a decent points haul for some of their other rivals, Ryan Puchtel and Jared Collins. Been a bit of drama at 10A, 10B, the battle between Ryan Carwile and Aaron Brown.
Oh.
I'm looking at Sean Fritz and Ian Giebler.
I think they get through here clearer. We'll see if we get a shot of the other one.
So Aaron Brown in grey. Oh. He does get loose, come across and tag Ryan Carwile's rear quarter, sending him straight into the concrete.
Yeah, and that's a hard hit. That car is written off. Luckily for everyone, it stayed stuck to the wall and didn't bounce back. Oh, Paul Darling gets lucky. 4 tires off on the exit of the final corner. And that puts Polasek right on the rear bumper. Maybe feeling a little bit of pressure.
These two are 8 seconds clear of the rest of the field, so what was a pretty close top 5 initially has actually spread out pretty quickly.
I have been impressed by the pace differential these two seem to have found, because so far this season it's been just you could throw a blanket over the top 10, but for whatever reason at this track and this car today, these two just seem to have a little bit extra, another gear over the rest of the field.
Think of just 1 or 2 differences between Road Atlanta and Daytona International Speedway road course as far as it comes to racing these BMWs. Things such as turn 1 with grass on the exit instead of pavement, turn 3 a blind crest over a hill rather than being flat corners inside of a speedway. Things to think about that make this track so well known and revered, and a track that drivers really want to race at, because it is a track where the driver makes a difference.
Yeah. And I just can't say it enough. I think this is one of my favorite tracks to just do laps around. It's one of those ones that hypnotizes you. We got 2 people battling here. This is Aaron Brown and Aaron Smith.
Yeah, Aaron Smith knows he needs to be careful here. He's been forewarned.
Oh!
He does the same thing, man. You got no traction coming out of 10B there. Aaron Brown, Code Brown, every time through turn 10.
Yeah, that exit keeps catching him out, and the exit nearly caught out Paul Darling coming out of the top of the S's there, and that's going to be a move for Michael Polasek. Let's see if we can get the camera over there back at the front of the field. They're too wide. Polasek's up the inside, and they're coming up on some lap traffic here. Who can get the better run onto the back straight? Inside line's the shorter distance, but Paul Darling gets the throttle down a little better. And coming up the hill, he's got the advantage. They'll be side drafting off each other all the way up. And it's going to be who does Cindy pick, I think, because Cindy's just up ahead and going to have an influence on who's going to have the advantage coming into the braking zone. They're neck and neck. This might be a preview of the last lap. Paul Darling's getting a little bit, but Polasek's getting it back. And as they come over the hill under the bridge, Darling gets the run, and he clears him. So mark 1 for Paul Darling, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of the seas open there as well, as one of the cars in front makes a second pit stop. Carl Guillory and Cindy Pickett both making second pit stops in this race. Guillory, because he's got a meatball flag. As for Cindy Pickett, couldn't tell you, except for maybe scared by the sight of Paul Darling and Michael Polasek barreling down the back straight and in towards turn 10. So the next group of cars to go a lap down, Scott Grinnell and Cosick, Jeffrey Rockwell there as well.
The leaders are too wide again as they come up on him.
This makes it even more difficult being lapped. You're like, I want to stay out of the way, but I can't stay out of the way of 2 cars battling side by side without playing a little bit of favourites. Michael Polasek back into the race lead. Wow.
Yeah, we're seeing some of that crafty driving again. Darling realizes that staying on the outside is a losing proposition, but drafting might not be. And after getting a start in the series last season, Darling is really starting to show that he's got what it takes to compete for wins up here. This is good stuff.
Polasek's given every button on his steering wheel a go. He's flashed the headlights. He's done the wipers. Next, he'll be changing the radio.
In the background, that was Andre Jameson trying out the whole front straightaway. Keeps it pointed the right way, though. You'll see here what happens when you run it a little bit wide on the exit of 1. Using some of those drivetrainer motorsport skills to catch it, I think. Gets a little loose. Tire in the dirt. Neutral throttle, steer it gently back into the pavement, and keep the very expensive car out of the wall.
The race lead once again onto the back straight, on board with Paul Darling in second. Now, we were on board with someone else earlier who stayed in 5th at the end of the straight. I reckon Darling is a 6th gear man. So we're about to see as he closes in a little bit on Polasek. Oh yeah, you know he is. 6th gear down the inside, looking for the race lead. Nose in front at the big braking zone. And race leading.
Yeah, and he just parks it up. Polasek has a bit of a slide on the exit, so Darling's going to get the run over the hill. And a few car lengths clear at the line. I've recently learned that in drag racing terms, we'd call that gap at the line a bus.
Okay.
Leaders are keeping us busy, but they're not the only ones fighting. Kyle Robertson and Aaron Smith in 5th and 6th. They're back to battling. Aaron Smith putting some pressure kind of all over that rear bumper. Robertson taking the inside defensive line. And we'll see if they go too wide here. Hard to make it work around the outside. Especially when you got Aaron Brown lurking in the background. Aaron Smith's done a lot of racing with us over the years. So he's a driver that I think has at least a race win in the history of the ChampCar series.
Moment for Kyle Robertson with that turn 5 curb. Aaron Smith's looking to go around the outside of him. Looking to cross back underneath him as Robertson goes wide.
Nicely done.
"15 minutes to go. Sun lower. Race lead closer. Paul Darling ahead of Michael Polasek. Aaron Smith, Kyle Robertson, Aaron Brown. It's down the back straight with Aaron Smith going to the left to defend. Kyle Robertson looking to go around the outside. Aaron Brown doesn't know what he's doing.
He's trying to pick a winner, and he gets it. The outside line treats him well on the exit of 10B.
It's super touch and go. It's super touch and go for the race leaders. They've just caught traffic on the exit of turn 5 that sort of nearly got Ricardo zonted, split either way. So Polasek and Darling weren't sure which way to go and were caught in behind. Okay, that sorts itself out. Ryan Puchtel in 3rd place has caught 2 seconds on these guys, by the way. He's still 6 seconds back, but something to think about.
Don't say anything. The leaders will keep racing. No, but Puchtel's been having one of those good races that's real quiet, while the leaders have having one of those good races that is, white knuckling on the steering wheel.
So Polasek and Darling is sort of willpower and Colton Herder, while Ryan Puchtel is real sneaky Alex Palou back there. It's the kind of race he's having.
Sounds a bit like it to me, yeah. And I wonder if Darling's learned a little bit getting closer to Polasek. They just took a nearly identical line through turn 3 there. Darling willing to get out into that dirt pretty consistently on 5.
Yeah, the gravel redistribution out of turn 5 is getting significant.
Yeah, snowbanks up here. That's what I'd call that. The amount of gravel they've put down.
Quarrying a bit of aggregate.
There you go. There you go.
So 22nd place, Andy Cossack is next in the leader's sights. Said he didn't like the BMW, but he was going to drive it anyway, so he painted it brown. Last race decided maybe it's not so bad. Added some flames to the brown.
That doesn't feel like a compliment, Haynes. It's a flaming turd now. It's certainly no mint. Not compared to his other vehicles, anyway. It's just... I'm kind of getting numb to how wicked these two are driving. I mean, just millimeters apart, and the two of them are running faster than the best qualifying laps. Nearly faster than the best qualifying laps, and they've been doing it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, so last lap for these two, 129.1 and a 129.1 for first and second. And let me tell you, no one else is doing lap times like that in the field. Third place doing a 130.3, so Ryan Hopkins back to about 8 seconds back. Jared Collins, very similar in fourth here. Aaron Smith, we saw his moves to get to fifth place, getting ahead of Aaron Brown and Kyle Robertson, and he's leaving them behind as well. So probably not enough time for him to catch Jared Collins, but he's into the top 5 and leaving him behind.
Yep, solid show. But it's really all down to these two. So is it going to be the G-Force driver? Or is it going to be Darling?
Whoa, Darling nearly in the wall out of turn 5, all through the gravel, all over the curb, sideways through the grass, almost tagging the barrier. It was nearly race over for him as he tried to follow Michael Polasek through turn 5.
Critically, there's a lap car, Alex Albert, between the two of them.
Someone's deposited a bumper there at turn 7.
Hearing on the radio that it might have been Alex Harrison. We'll see it here, or maybe we won't. He has a little bit of a blink, a little bit of a moment, and boom, hits the inside wall. Easy to do when you're trying to put 400 horses down to the ground, and one of those tires is on a curb. Meanwhile, back at the front, Darling's gotten by Alex Albert, and he's gotten a good run out of 10B. He'll need to work hard, though, to make up some ground. 2/10 at the line last time, 7/10 at the line this time.
Surprised to absolutely no one. Alex Harrison is pitting again. Trying to get the turn 5 replay, because that was nearly a race over for Paul Darling.
Yeah, with 10 minutes to go, now it's just time to calm yourself back down, lock back in, find the marks, and find some pace, and maybe find a little bit of luck as Cameron Sennhauser causes Michael Polasek to check up a little bit as they come onto the back straight. Sennhauser having an uncharacteristically challenging race today, I'd say. Has put that thing sideways and in the wall a couple times, running 6 laps down. And those poor kittens watching the race leaders go by once again. Oh! And I saw sparks there. A little bit of contact between him and Darling, but luckily not enough to cause any permanent damage.
Not sure if he thought that Tall Darling wasn't going to go there and do that. Because I think 8 laps to go, Paul Darling's going to go there and do that. 9/10 of a second between them, first and second place. Next car they're going to come up on is Josh Toothman in 19th place.
Yeah, and most of the rest of the point scoring positions have sorted themselves out. The field spread at Road Atlanta is real. Paul Darling running through the dirt, but so does Polasek that time. A little bit uncharacteristic to see him that far out. And again, as we come onto the back straight, Polasek's going to have to deal with some lap traffic. He's got one of them on the dirt. That's Kevin Collins trying to get out of the way, I think. And Darling takes the draft, but takes a bunch of dirt off the grill too.
Bit of overcast cloud comes across. Heading into the late afternoon. Look how much of the road Polasek uses through there. Might have to use a bit through the final corner in behind Toothman.
I was going to say, yeah, I've noticed Polasek. Oh, and he's going to make the move here. Oh, it's a deep lunge. But he makes it work. Now, will Toothman jump out of the way for Darling or no? He's going to stay on his line, as he's entitled to. Gets out of the way on the next corner. I think that did help Darling, though, overall. Darling was nearly 1.1 at the line. Track temp is starting to react. Darling has another little slide. But if this track...
Not mastered that turn 5 exit at all.
Yeah, even with 55 minutes of practice. But we're starting to see the track... Dog wanted to participate in the commentary, but Darling, we're seeing him trying to close it down, but Polasek just really seems to have an extra gear. A little bit of smoke up ahead. We got Ian Giebler with the blown motor rolling through 10A as the leaders come up on it. Not sure Giebler will have the go to get up the hill, and he doesn't. That motor blows. Gets out of the way, though. Tough end to his day.
When you get a look at one of these cars with the front grille off, there's radiators everywhere. It's like a Porsche Carrera Cup car with the radiators in the front corners, in front of the wheels and everything. So it doesn't surprise me that you have a front impact and do a lot of damage to these cars.
Yeah.
So that turn 5 is the challenge corner. Look at your race leader sliding a little bit just as the car catches the curb. And when you catch it just right, it's magic. When you don't, it spits you into the wall.
Darling had a little bit of the magic that time. I think he just, by my relative timer, that was 3/10 through there this time.
Maybe the slide from Polasek was a little unwanted and a little suboptimal. Well, these two continue battling for the lead. A battle's forming over 11th. Sean Roberts, Bowie Sue, and Logan Sennhauser, Bill Woods. I think Woods has been catching a fair bit. Oh, what a spot he finds himself in here behind Logan Sennhauser. So there's a car that they've been lapping that they've just caught. Now you see Sennhauser in black and purple just in front of the sort of very... It's a bit Ken Block almost.
Yeah, it's doing a bit of that.
Not sure what energy drink I want, but I want to buy some markup highlighters. Okay.
And something's happened at the lead. I don't
Lost a lot
know.
of time.
Yeah, I don't know what happened as he went over the hill last time. I'm watching it back, but it's like he ran out of fuel or lost his throttle pedal for a second because he just didn't go coming off of 10B. Maybe he had to slow down. Yeah, you know what? He had to slow down on the exit of 10B, I bet. And so he gave it back pretty effectively, but that still cost him a whole second.
So presumably he's cut too much of 10A.
I think that was a couple laps ago. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but either way, he's ended up nearly 3.4 seconds back, and I think the wind is out of his sails a little bit with that. Now, Polisek's coming up on a battle here. He's got Orlando Harrell and Mark Kruger side by side fighting for position, and the two of them are going to have to be conscious. Oh, and they are, but Kruger is costing the leader some time. So, darling, don't take your foot off the gas just yet.
No easy way to pass between turn 3 and turn 5 through those S's. Now off turn 5 is where Polasek is very quick. Normally.
Yeah, and a half second back helps, but it's not enough when you're 3 seconds back. I'm thinking we'll see the white flag this next time by, Haynes.
Probably. Would think so with about a minute left to go. There's Sennhauser-Woods battle just behind there, where Woods is certainly a bit quicker, but he's misjudged himself a little bit if he thought he was going to get to the inside of turn 1 there. And these guys will get another lap because Michael Polasek and Paul Darling just taking the white flag now. Polasek with a 3-second lead.
Yep, Zach Balthazar up ahead. And luckily for them, unless they catch that, there's another battle pack about 5 seconds up the road, but assuming they don't catch that, it'll be clean sailing to the end.
So Michael Polasek, the winner of the opening round, the winner last time out at Alton Park, 2 wins from 3 races in the season. He's leading them home on the final lap. As the time runs out, we expect the checkered flag at the end of this lap. The gap between himself and Paul Darling just continues to expand. I wonder if Darling was just a little close on the fuel number as well. There's a handful of cars like Mark Kruger and Orlando Harrell between Michael Polasek and Paul Darling.
Yeah, you could have had a little blip of fuel or gotten a warning.
Dropping even further back on the way into turn 10A and 10B. So a great race that we had the whole way through between Michael Polasek and Paul Darling. Darling keeping an immense amount of pressure on as they work their way through the traffic. But it's 3 wins from 4 races for Michael Polasek, who leads the ChampCar iRacing series. Paul Darling picks up good points with 2nd place. Ryan Puxell back here in 3rd.
Yeah, Puckdell gonna takes the flag. Jared Collins driving that Taco Bell right underneath the line. Aaron Smith has a bunch of space back to Kyle Robertson, who you can just barely see in the back of the shot in that drive trainer car. 2 of them will take 5th and 6th. Aaron Brown coming to the line with James O'Brien behind. Those 2 split up after some earlier dramas. Sean Fritz, Nicholas Wallenberg are looking like they'll be clear to the line as well to round out the top 10. The real battle right now is between Bowie Suin and I think Logan Senhauser. No, who's that? Well, maybe a little bit of lap traffic ahead of Bowie Suin there. And those two will take 11th and 12th.
Roberts and Bowie Suin was a little bit closer, but Roberts is well ahead now at the end as they all take the checkered flag.
And Senhauser's going to be the last one to take the checkered flag on the lead lap. So 36 starters, 34 finished the race, and I think 32 of them classified, maybe 33. And only 14 of them on the lead lap. So it really just shows the pace that Polasek and Darling were able to put together. That was a hell of a race from two pretty impressive drivers as we watch Polasek come around to the pit lane and make a restrained entry.
Well, I don't think he can turn the traction control off, so what else is he going to do? Looking at the results now that everyone has taken the checkered flag, Michael Polasek, as I said, third win from 4 races. Paul Darling and Ryan Puchtel on the podium with him. Jared Collins, Aaron Smith, Kyle Robertson, Aaron Brown, James O'Brien, Sean Fritz, and Nicholas Wallenberg, the top 10. Wallenberg, the biggest gainer of them there, qualified 14th. Aaron Smith qualified 9th and finished 5th, so a couple of good performances, sneaking into some really handy points inside the top 10. Sean Roberts, Bowie Suin, Bill Woods, Logan Senhauser, Zach Balthasar, Mark Kruger, Orlando Herald, Josh Toothman, Alex Albert, and Andy Kosick completing 20th. Then Ryan Carwile, Brian Tidd, Kyle Guillory, Steve Hermé, Ian Giebler, John Nicholford, Cindy Pickett, Alex Harrison, Kevin Collins, Scott Grinnell, Andre Jameson, Jeffrey Rockwell, Cameron Senhauser, Matt McGee, I think was the last driver that will get counted as a finisher. Tony Alfano and Stephen Schaefer, I think we just didn't see in this race.
Yeah, set some laps in practice, but didn't take the flag with us today. But that's all right. The ChampCar iRacing Series, of course, open to anyone, not just ChampCar members, and anyone can have their shot at winning some Champ Bucks. Credits towards racing in the Real World ChampCar Series, which is the easiest way to get into a real world race car and go racing. Have a great time and check out some of the coolest tracks in North America has to offer, including Road Atlanta, as we saw today. Of course, that race is already done for this season, but they'll be back there again next year, I gotta think.
Let's have a chat to the guys then, shall we? Finishing third was Ryan Puchtel, Devin.
And Ryan, it was a quiet and lonely one after some early action there, but a really clean race from you today.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of out in the middle of nowhere, towards the middle of that race. Was kind of expecting the usual fuel save strategy from everyone, but just seemed that that wasn't the case this time.
It seemed like Darling and Polasek kind of had another gear there. Any thoughts as to what the difference was?
No, I think they're just quicker.
Just quicker in this one. Any races where you're hoping to make the difference? We got Watkins Glen coming up on the 14th in the Mazda, and then coming to my hometown, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, in the GR86 after that.
I don't think there's a particular combination of car and track that I think I'll be most strong at. I think it's gonna be pretty much kind of the same as it has been.
Well, it's been a pretty good start to the season for you. I guess anyone you need to shout out today?
Just my team at SimCity Racing.
Well, you're doing them proud. Good to have you out.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers.
Let's go up another step.
Let's see.
Took me a bit of work there. Paul Darling joins us. I mean, sweaty at all?
Oh yeah, that was a very intense race, but I don't think I ever really had Polisek.
It would ebb and flow. You guys traded the lead a couple of times. Was it sort of that magic 1 second was a bit important?
Yeah, I think he had me on pace by like 2/10, but I could, as long as I was within 1 second, I could close up to him in the draft. The lap traffic was a huge factor today, but it was pretty even for us, but it kind of kept me in that 1 second area. Every time I'd like close in, then we'd have to spread out again. Yeah, it was a really intense race, but once again, first loser.
Little birdie tells me that you're a bit of a BMW super fan.
Oh, I don't know about that. I just have 2 BMW race cars, but I also hate BMWs, so just the price was right. I'll say that.
The price was right. Fantastic. I mean, between yourself, Puchtel, Collins, Polisek, been very competitive championship picture so far this year. And I mean, there's not a gigantic points differential first and second. You'll still be well and truly in it. Are we going to see you for plenty more of the championship racing this year?
Yeah, I hope so. I think unless Polisek has a fault in his pace, I think we're going to be fighting for second, but I will definitely try my hardest to dethrone him.
Fantastic. Great racing today. Well done.
Thank you very much, guys.
I think the more BMWs you own, probably the more you hate them, I've got to imagine. And let's go to our race winner, Devon.
Yeah, we got one guy here who's probably feeling pretty good about racing BMWs, aren't you, Michael?
This car at this track was honestly a very terrifying experience. You kind of drive this car in the way that you suggest an input to the car, and then the car will kind of do what it wants with it. And you're just at that point along for the ride. So you have to be on it pretty much the entire time around this track, on braking, on throttle, knowing your lines and everything. It's a really, really difficult car to get right around here.
Well, it certainly looked like you were on it tonight, and it looked like you and Paul were going to have a battle there. You're trading things back and forth going into the end. How are you feeling with about 10 laps to go?
Honestly, I knew that providing that Paul didn't get that slowdown, which was really unfortunate, because if he didn't, that probably would have come down to the final corner. I was going to be ready to have to fight him off pretty much the last 5-6 laps or so. And unfortunately, once again, he got that slowdown. But it was just a matter of dialing back my throttle inputs, because I was putting in way too much throttle for a lot of the corners early on in the race, and just keeping it smooth and consistent. And fortunately, that was enough for me to win the race.
The paddock's been back and forth on this car. So is that the tip? Smooth and consistent wins the day in this thing?
Pretty much. You can have some control over the car, especially under braking. If you don't go too far into the ABS, you need to be very careful with how much brake input you can put on while trail braking, keeping the brakes into the corners. And then once you get past the apex, you need to be on throttle and using the throttle to rotate the car. If you don't, then the car will just simply go straight. This is not an easy car to drive, and it's definitely not my favorite car, but I guess the skill gap that this car creates was something I was able to use to my advantage.
Yeah, I was going to say you could have fooled me, Mister Not My Favorite Car, with 2 wins and 2 races in it, and 3 wins in 4 on the series to start it out. Got to be thinking that that championship trophy starting to look maybe a little bit, a little bit less fuzzy off in the distance.
Well, we just got to take it one race at a time. It's a long season, lots of cars, lots of different racetracks, and that really affects how you approach each and every race, especially with how draft heavy all the cars are. You just need to play your cards right and be in the right place at the right time.
We're going to see you playing your cards right in the Mazda Miata at Watkins Glen.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely looking forward to that race. It's one of my favorite tracks, and the racing is going to be pretty ridiculous, especially after the pit stops with how draft heavy that track is.
Well, looking forward to seeing you out there, and looking forward to seeing you drafting away. Anyone you need to shout out tonight?
Definitely. First of all, thank you to all my friends and family watching tonight. Couldn't do this without them. Thank you to Track Level Up as well for all their support. And thank you guys and ChampCar for putting on such a great broadcast. And also thank you to Paul Darling for being a great opponent to race with in whatever series, whatever cards. He's always been very clean and respectful, and we've had a lot of good battles on track.
Thank you for putting on a good show.
Thank you very much.
Exciting to hear from our podium after pretty exciting round 4 of the ChampCar iRacing series here at Road Atlanta. Polisek and Darling going back and forth. A lot of respect between each other, but obviously plenty on the line, and both are racers they want to win. They'd probably want to win if there was nothing on the line as well, based on what I've seen from those guys. It won't be too long till you can get your next fix of the ChampCar iRacing series. Round 5 is May 14, Watkins Glen in the MX-5. That will be one to watch, I think. Maybe we can get 10 cars for the race lead there, the way that those cars typically race each other. Congratulations again go to Michael Polisek, the race winner. It's not too late to join us in the ChampCar iRacing series. Every 4 rounds we draw a prize. So if you join us for round 5, 6, 7, and 8, you'll be in the draw to win some ChampCar, Champ Buck prizes. So forum.champcar.org, or find us on Discord or on iRacing. We'd love to have you. Great community, and it's great to hear the love of this racing that our podium drivers have, Devin.
Yeah, it's always great when a plan comes together, and BMWs at Road Atlanta gave us quite a show tonight, and I can't wait to see the show that we get for the rest of this season.
You'll see the whole show live on HABC and ChampCar Live, so make sure you're following, because we'll be bringing you more action in the ChampCar iRacing series. May 14 from Watkins Glen. David Haynes with Michael Derby and Devin Peters. We'll see you then.